Hey there guys, and welcome back to Mana Down Under. Today we are covering Lord Windgrace. Now like always, this is just a commander deck idea, not a hardcore deck list where we just cover cards that you might need, combos, or just things to know about the deck. So, Lord Windgrace. Jund, 5 mana Planeswalker, 5 loyalty, +2, discard a card, then draw a card. If it's a land discarded this way, draw an additional card. Pretty good, that's more of a blue kind of ability. Neg 3, return up to 2 target lands from your graveyard to the battlefield. Very strong. Neg 11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 cat tokens with Forest Walk. So I'll be honest though, I've built the deck around ignoring the last ability. I don't think many people are using it. If it happens, it happens. But the deck strength lies in the first 2 abilities, because it's a land deck, that's what it is, it clearly is. So we care about moving lands from our hand, graveyard and battlefield, and just shifting between those 3 zones, that's what we do. And we'll use that to create any triggers to win the game. So there's a lot of sub-commanders in the deck which give the deck a lot of strong mechanics that let it work. The Gitrog monster is a strong example. At the beginning of upkeep we do have to sacrifice a land, that's okay, but we do get to play an additional land a turn which just sees the theme in the deck. But whenever 1 or more lands are put into the graveyard from anywhere, we get to draw a card. So a lot of our land sacrificing is an advantage with the Gitrog. Omnath, whenever we play a land we get to create a 5/5 elemental, so we go full beatdown plan. And those elementals on death do have Lightning Bolt. Mina and Den, we can play additional land again, but they have the ability to bounce a land back to our hand, give a creature trample. Sometimes the trample comes in handy, but the bouncing back is the big part, because we can tap the mana, the land for mana, and bounce it back. Then we can play it again, get another Landfall trigger or something. I like Obnick's list a lot. Landfall, you siphon for 3 off a target player, and then you put 3 counters on Obnick's list. If left unchecked, he can get so big and kill players so easy. And think of it like Windgrace's second ability. It gives him 6 counters and the opponent loses 6 life. It's pretty good. Borborygmus, Enraged. He gives us an advantage in the sense that we can ditch lands to lightning bolt anything we need to. That's pretty strong late game. Titania, same idea as the Gitrog monster. Any of our land sacrificing creates more elementals, which then supports Omnath. And she gets to resurrect a land to an entry. So you can see we've got a bit of just a synergy within the lands and these sub-commanders. Some of the big payoff cards to consider. Of course, the Avenger of Zendikar is in every land deck ever, but it works really well with Turn Timbersaw. If a land goes into the graveyard from anywhere, we create another plan token, then Avenger of Zendikar will buffer those all plan tokens. Rampaging Baloth, it's in every green commander deck ever, you just create 4/4s with Landfall. Tireless Tracking can get really big and create a clue token so we can draw, just card advantage along the way. Multani is the bomb in this deck, so she's equal to number of lands in play and in our graveyard. That's different. Most time it's just you control that are active. So she's very big in the deck. She can also return 2 lands from to our hand, so she can come back from the graveyard to our hand, so self-recurring. She's reach and trample, so she's a big threat every point of the game. Centaur Vinecrasher, same idea, but it's only lands equal in graveyards and it's 1/1 counters. It's a little bit different, but it does have recursion built in. Ulvenwald Hydra is just equal number of lands we control, but when it does enter the battlefield we can tutor up for a land, which is great. Any land by the way, not basic. Undergrowth Champion is pretty much immortal to combat damage or any form of damage removal, because Landfall puts counters on him, and if he would take damage, remove the counter, prevent the damage. So he's just a constant pain to deal with. Rubble Hulk, good old Rubble Hulk from Return to Ravnica Standard. Just equal number of lands you control, or you can Blood Rush it, so you can probably kill someone with it pretty easy. Zendikar Incarnate, it's pretty basic, but it's just a big threat. Same idea with Baloth Woodcrasher. Every time a land comes in, it gets +4/+4 on trample. The thing can easily be like a 12/12, 16/16 most turns. Crash of Rhino Beetles and Scoop Mob are good in the sense that their power toughness scale along as the game goes on. Scoop Mob can get really big, so most people will try and remove it. And the Crash of Rhino Beetles will be a 15/15 later in the game. Nesting Dragon can just pump out so many flyers, which is good because Jund doesn't really do much flying. Except for dragons, we don't really fly. Sylvan Safekeeper leads us into our abusive land sacrificing or land tutoring section. So we've got Solum, Sakura Tribe Elder, Firehaven and Wood Elf. They all can search us lands out of our deck somehow. Then we've got Nissa and Yavimaya and Borderline, which all can get lands into our hand. Nissa only gets Forest, but she can't flip into a Planeswalker, which is a bit more value. The Yavimaya Elder can draw us cards, and he does get 2 basics. In the Borderline, each opponent has to discard a land and discard a card if they want to go and get a land, and it has to be basic. Some people are probably not going to do it, but we'll ditch a land anyway, and we'll play the land anyway. Then we've got more of our ramp here. We've got Us the Lost But Seeking, Oracle More Die, and Wayward Sawtooth. They all let us play an additional land each turn, or in case Us are an additional 2. Oracle lets us play the top card of our library revealed, if it's a land. Same with Corsair here. Corsair does gain us life, and the Way would eventually be a creature once we have City's Blessing, which is pretty easy in the deck, you have that many lands. Then you got Lotus Cobra, who's really good in the early games. Pretty good to have. The only bad thing is, mid-late game, it kind of dies off a bit. World Shaper. If our opponents kill it, it could hurt them real bad. We get to return so many lands from our graveyard to the battlefield. In some cases, all the Landfall can win you the game there. And then Ramming Up Excavator leads into the best card in the deck by far. Crucible of Worlds, thank god it got a reprint. Being able to play lands from our graveyard is very, very strong. Think of all the sub-commanders I mentioned at the beginning, especially the Gitrog monster. Being able to play all our lands from our graveyard, sacrifice them all with Titania, sacrificing lands to draw cards and replaying the lands again. Or if you have Borborygmus, ditching the lands to Lightning Bolt and then play them anyway. It has a lot of synergy in the deck, it's a big part of the deck, and running a few tutors to get it out does not hurt. And then we've got cards similar to Crucible of Worlds. Things like Mending of Dominaria and Splendid Reclamation let us get lands back from our graveyard. Life from the Loam, we can just keep dredging away, get more lands back, and sack him back in the graveyard, get him again. Like, it's just a constant recurring theme there, especially with the Gitrog monster, it's very nice. Scape Shift, we can use it in a few different ways. We can use it just to set up a whole new board on lands for a big old landfall trigger. Or, if you really want to, which a lot of people have already covered, you could run Prismatic Omen, and then with that, every land is a basic land in addition to its other types. Every land type, I should say. Cabal Coffers and Valakut become good options, if you want to go that way. But doing that, I think those 3 cards together are about $80, so if you want to, you can. If you don't want to, save the $80. Then your actual mana ramp, so how we get the lands out of our deck. Crop Rotation, we do have to sack a land, but we can go and get any land, doesn't have to be a basic, so that can be very abusive later on when you see the good lands in the deck. Harrow, same idea, but we get 2 basics and it's instant speed. And then you got your double ups here, so Sky Shroud, Claim, and Explosive Edge is both 4 mana, but both get 2 lands. But Sky Shroud can get any forest card, doesn't have to be basic. So if you get your dual lands and whatnot, better then. And then you got Cultivate and Kadama's Reach, which is just double ups, same card. Realms Uncharted, a good option here. You search your library for 4 lands of different names, you get 2 and then 2 go into your graveyard. You don't really care, you can play your lands from the graveyard anyway. And who doesn't love a good tempt with discovery? I love tempting offers, so see how many people are greedy at the table. If they're not clever, you can set up maybe a Valakut or Cabal Coffer if they're not clever. And then we've got more ramp like Burgeoning and Exploration, we've seen them all before on Commander. Exploration has gone up a lot again. When it got reprinted initially, it went down to like $7, but now it's nearly 30 again, unfortunately. I love the retreats in the deck, they work really well. Kazandu, just put counters on creatures, keep them nice and big, or gain some life. And then we're into more support now. So things like a Seismic Assault, great support in the deck, just ditching lands to shock anything is really good. We don't really care because we can return the lands from our graveyard back to our hand or back to the board, bouncing back. We'll find a way somehow to get them back. Zendikar's Royal, lets us just create 2/2 tokens. One of my favourite cards ever, Scribnibblers. These little rats will just exile the top of a target player's library. If it's land, we gain a life. Landfall on top of the rats. So across a game, these little rats can mill anywhere from 10 to 20 cards off your opponent, and they're never getting them back. You've gained a life, and people don't deem them much of a threat, but across the game, they can just put a little bit of pressure from a different angle. You're sitting there fighting them on the ground with all these big tokens and these abusive mechanics, and then the Blizzards are sitting there milling them. Just a little bit more offense. Now, I like a Akum Hellkite, but I keep it in reserve. I use it as a more defensive thing to work down tokens or work on Planeswalkers. Every time you play a land, you deal 1 damage to any target. If it's mountain, 2 damage to any target. And the similar idea with the Caustic Crawler here, but it only hits creatures with neg counters. But you can still stack them up. Or not counter the shit, just neg 1 to a neg 1 to on a turn. Things like big X spells are really good in the deck because the mana lands are playing. If you want to run mana doubling effects, you can. So things like Genesis Wave and Torment of Hellfire are really good. And who doesn't love a big fat Torment of Hellfire? And a lot of people have caught on already into the deck. Retrace, a mechanic from Eventide and Lorwyn, is pretty good in the deck because we have the lands to ditch to it. So Raven's Crime is just 1 black mana, someone discards a card. They choose what they discard. Retrace lets you play the game from your graveyard by paying the same cost again but ditching a land. It doesn't exile after you play the Retrace. You can retrace it 4 or 5 times a turn if you can. It's just a good way to keep your opponent's hand empty so it's just a bit of pressure gained from a different angle. Worm Harvest, same idea with Retrace, but you create a 1/1 black and green worm token for each land in your graveyard. And if you're doing that, you might as well run Creekwood Liege, which gives all black creatures +1/+1, and then the same for green, and then upkeep it creates a 1/1 black green token, which will be a 3/3. Little bit of synergy there. The Liege will act as a lord for the majority of your deck. You don't have that many red creatures, everything's green and black in this deck. And then for the Planeswalkers. And then finally the Planeswalkers. I like having Garruk here because you're probably going to verse other commanders right now, the new Commander 2018. So having the ability to kill another Planeswalker outright is really good. And plus, he's a good Planeswalker, I don't think he sees enough play. Nissa's Vital Force is really good in the deck if you can get that last ultimate off. She will be able to do it on a second turn, but it has you can emblem whenever you play a land, draw a card. Hopefully you get it off, and it's pretty easy to do, you only need to protect her for one turn. If not, she can turn your lands into 5/5 beaters, still not too bad. And like always, there's probably some cards I've missed, but you are Jund, so you've got pretty good removal to pick from. Pick what you like in your playgroup. You've got Maelstrom Pulse, Terminate, Putrefy, Decimate's good fun, hit all the different permanent types. Your board wipes, you've got Damnation, you've got a few black ones, Toxic Deluge is pretty good. Red, you have Hour of Devastation, which is great against Indestructible and Hexproof kind of commanders. World Breaker is a good option if you have a bit of colorless mana producing in the deck. Constant Misses, people have mentioned a lot. The buyback is sack a land. You don't really care about that because you can play lands from your graveyard anyway. So it's a way for you to set up a fog every turn if you want to. And Deathrite Shaman. I feel like I don't get to play enough Deathrite Shamans in Commander, so I'll put him here. So how did you guys like Lord Windgrace? I know a lot of people were ripping into him early on, and I gave him a bit of a hard time being the cheaper of the 4 decks. But with the right support, in terms of a Landfall deck, he's really, really strong. Like, it's very synergistic, it's very clear what the deck wants to do, and it's easy to pilot. And you get a lot of fun too. Who doesn't love recurring their lands from all the 3 different zones and getting all the triggers on it? The only thing is really the deck needs a lot of upgrade. Out of the box, the deck's okay, it just does whatever it's doing. But to get it to a Landfall state, you need a lot of work on it. But how did you guys build your deck? What did you change? What did you take out? Let me know, guys, and have a good one. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like and sub and click the bell icon for notifications. It's greatly appreciated. And if you have any deck or video ideas, just suggest them down below. And have a good one, guys.